3 months of silence can change your life forever. Listen closely. What I'm about to tell you will separate you from 99% of people walking this earth. 3 months. That's all it takes to become unrecognizable, untouchable, unreachable to those who once controlled you. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's a weapon, the most dangerous weapon you'll ever wield. Machiavelli understood this. While others were busy talking, announcing their plans, seeking validation, he observed, he calculated, he won. You think power comes from being heard? Wrong. Power comes from making others desperate to hear from you. Right now, you're leaking energy. Every conversation, every explanation, every time you defend yourself to people who don't deserve your words, you're bleeding power. And they're drinking it. The noise in your life isn't random, it's strategic. It keeps you weak, reactive, controlled. Comment, I reclaim my power if you're ready to take it back. 3 months of silence will teach you what 10 years of talking never could. Are you ready to disappear and return as someone they won't recognize? Let's begin. Section 1. The weapon they fear most. Silence is not passive. Let me destroy that illusion right now. When you go silent, you become a mirror. And people hate seeing themselves reflected back with nothing to distract them. They'll panic. They'll reach out. They'll wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, why you're not responding the way you used to. This is where most men break. They feel guilty. They think silence is cruel. It's not cruelty, it's strategy. Machiavelli wrote that it's better to be feared than loved. But here's what he really meant. It's better to be unpredictable than familiar. Familiarity breeds contempt. Silence breeds respect. When you stop explaining yourself, people stop questioning you. When you stop seeking approval, they start seeking yours. When you stop filling every gap with words, you become the gap others fall into. Watch what happens in 3 months when you vanish from the noise. The people who ignored you will suddenly notice. The ones who disrespected you will suddenly wonder. The ones who took you for granted will suddenly panic. Because you've become what they fear most, someone they can't read, can't control, can't predict. Comment, I am unpredictable if you understand this power. Your silence is already making them uncomfortable. Good. Section 2. The 3-month transformation. Here's what happens during 3 months of strategic silence. Month 1. Withdrawal. You stop engaging in meaningless conversations. You stop defending your decisions. You stop posting every thought, every move, every moment of your life for validation. This is the hardest month. Your ego will scream. It's been trained to seek attention like a drug addict seeks their next fix. People will notice immediately. They'll ask if you're okay. They'll say you've changed. They'll try to pull you back into the noise. Resist. Because while they're talking, you're rebuilding, you're studying, you're training, you're becoming dangerous in the silence. Month 2. Observation. Now you see clearly. Without the distraction of constant interaction, you notice patterns. You see who only contacted you when they needed something. You see who respected your boundaries and who violated them. You see the games people play because you're no longer playing them. This is when you start moving differently. Calculated, precise. Every action has intention. Every word carries weight because you've learned words are currency, and you don't waste currency on poverty-minded people. Month 3. Emergence. You return, but not as the person who left. You're sharper, colder, more focused. Your presence carries a different energy now. People feel it, but can't name it. It's power, the kind that doesn't announce itself, the kind that doesn't need to. Machiavelli taught that the wise man does at once what the fool does finally. The fool eventually learns to shut up after years of loss. You're learning it now. Comment, I am transforming if you're committed to all 3 months. But understand this. Silence without purpose is just isolation. Silence with strategy is domination. Section 3. Dark psychology of absence. Let me teach you something about human nature that most will never grasp. People don't value what's always available. You've been too available, too accessible, too eager to respond, to help, to show up, to prove yourself worthy of their time and attention. That ends now. Scarcity creates value. Your absence creates curiosity. Your silence creates speculation. This is dark psychology at its core. When you remove your presence, you create a void, and nature abhors a void. People will rush to fill it with thoughts of you, questions about you, theories about what you're doing and why. You're not ignoring them. You're making them obsessed with being ignored. There's a difference. Machiavelli understood that perception is reality. If people perceive you as busy, important, focused on something bigger than them, they'll believe it. And belief shapes behavior. Watch how they start treating you differently when you're no longer at their beck and call. The friend who used to text you at midnight with their drama suddenly respects your time. The colleague who dismissed your ideas suddenly wants your input. The person who took you for granted suddenly fears losing access to you. Why? Because you've activated their loss aversion. Human beings fear loss more than they value gain. When you were always there, they had nothing to lose. Now they're afraid of losing something they didn't even know they had: your attention. But here's where it gets deeper. During these 3 months, you're not just withholding attention, you're recalibrating your entire social economy. You're teaching people that access to you is earned, not given, that your time is valuable, not free, that your energy is selective, not universal. This isn't arrogance, this is self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of all power. The weak think silence is running away. The strong know silence is strategically repositioning. You're not hiding, you're elevating to a place where the noise can't reach you, where the mediocrity can't touch you, where the desperation of others can't drain you. Comment, "I control access to me," if this resonates with your reality. 3 months of this, and you'll never go back to being everyone's emotional dumping ground, free therapist, or validation machine. You're building something they can't see yet, but they'll feel it. Section 4. The Machiavellian mindset. Machiavelli wrote The Prince in isolation, in exile, in silence. Think about that. The most influential book on power ever written came from a man who had lost everything: his position, his reputation, his place in society. But he didn't waste his silence complaining, he weaponized it. That's the difference between a victim and a strategist. Victims use silence to sulk. Strategists use silence to sharpen their blades. During your 3 months, you need to adopt the Machiavellian mindset. This isn't about being evil, it's about being effective. First principle, never reveal your full hand. Even in silence, people will try to read you. Let them guess wrong. The moment they think they've figured you out, you've lost your advantage. Keep them guessing, keep them wondering, keep them uncertain. Uncertainty is psychological warfare. Second principle, observe everything, react to nothing. Your silence gives you the ultimate gift, the ability to watch without the pressure to respond. You see who's loyal when there's nothing to gain from you. You see who disappears when you stop providing value. You see who's real and who was just playing a role in your life's theater. Take notes. Remember everything. Forget nothing. Because when you re-emerge, you'll know exactly who deserves your energy and who deserves your absence. Third principle, let others make mistakes while you make moves. While they're busy running their mouths, chasing validation, arguing on the internet, explaining themselves to people who don't matter, you're building skill, wealth, knowledge, strength, strategy. The silent man is the dangerous man because nobody knows what he's building in the shadows. Fourth principle, power is not given, it's taken through perception. You don't need anyone's permission to be powerful. You need their perception of you to shift. And 3 months of calculated absence will shift it dramatically. They'll create stories about you. Let them. The mystery you create is more powerful than any truth you could tell. 5th principle, never let emotion override strategy. You'll be tempted to break your silence. Someone will provoke you. Someone will try to manipulate you back into reacting. Don't. The moment you react emotionally, you've given them your power. Machiavelli stayed cold because heat makes you sloppy. Emotion makes you predictable. And predictable men are controlled men. Comment, I am the strategist, if you're embracing this mindset. This is what separates the wolves from the sheep. Sheep need the herd. They need constant bleating, constant validation, constant noise to feel safe. Wolves hunt alone in silence. You're becoming the wolf. And wolves don't explain themselves to sheep. They don't seek approval from the herd. They don't waste energy on anything that doesn't feed them. These 3 months are your transformation from prey to predator, from reactive to strategic, from visible to invisible, from weak to untouchable. Section 5. Rebuilding in the shadows. Now let's talk about what you're actually doing during these 3 months of silence. Because if you think silence alone will transform you, you've missed the point entirely. Silence is the container. What you pour into it determines everything. Most men go silent and waste it. They isolate but don't improve. They withdraw but don't work. They disappear but don't develop. That's not strategy. That's just hiding. You're not hiding. You're rebuilding yourself in the shadows where nobody can see the process, only the result. Here's your blueprint. First, physical dominance. Your body is the foundation of everything. If your body is weak, your mind follows. If your body is undisciplined, your life reflects it. 3 months is enough to completely transform your physique. Not just how you look, but how you feel, how you carry yourself, how you command space when you walk into a room. Train like your life depends on it. Because your new life does. Strength isn't just about muscles. It's about proving to yourself every single day that you can do hard things. That pain doesn't control you. That discomfort is where growth lives. When you emerge from these 3 months, people should see the difference in your body before you even speak. Second, mental sharpening. Read, not entertainment, not fiction, not escapism. Read strategy, read psychology, read history, read philosophy. Machiavelli, Sun Tzu, Marcus Aurelius, Robert Greene, Nietzsche. Understand how power works, how people work, how the game is played. Because right now, you've been playing checkers while everyone else plays chess. These 3 months turn you into a grandmaster. 1 hour of reading every day. Non-negotiable. Your mind is your weapon. Sharpen it. Third, financial intelligence. Money is power. Anyone who tells you different is broke and lying. Use this time to learn how money actually works. Not how to spend it, how to make it multiply, how to build systems that generate income while you sleep. Audit your spending. Cut the waste. Invest in assets, not liabilities. Learn a high-income skill. 3 months of financial discipline will put you ahead of 95% of men who live paycheck to paycheck, slaves to jobs they hate. Freedom requires money. Stop being naive about this. Fourth, skill acquisition. Learn something that makes you valuable, something that gives you leverage, something that can't be taken from you. A language, coding, sales, marketing, trading, writing, speaking, whatever it is, master it in these 3 months. Not perfect it. Master the fundamentals so well that you're dangerous with it. Valuable men have options. Worthless men have excuses. Fifth, eliminate the poison. Cut out everything and everyone draining your energy. The toxic friend who only calls when they need something. The dead-end relationship going nowhere. The mindless scrolling. The pornography. The alcohol. The weed. The video games. Everything that numbs you, distracts you, weakens you. Gone. Comment, I eliminate the poison if you're ready to cut the dead weight. This is the part most men fail. They want transformation without sacrifice. It doesn't work that way. You can't build a new life on the foundation of old addictions. Burn it down, all of it. These 3 months are your crucible. The heat that turns coal into diamond. The pressure that turns weakness into strength. When you emerge, you won't just look different. You'll be fundamentally reconstructed, unrecognizable, untouchable, unstoppable, but only if you actually do the work in the silence. Section 6. The psychology of detachment. Let me tell you what happens when you truly detach. Not fake detachment, not the kind where you pretend not to care while secretly checking your phone every 5 minutes, hoping someone noticed your absence. Real detachment, the kind where you genuinely stop needing external validation to feel whole. This is the most difficult part of the 3 months, because your ego will fight you every step of the way. Your ego has been fed by likes, comments, reactions, attention, drama, and chaos. It's addicted to the dopamine hit of being noticed, being relevant, being talked about. Going silent starves the ego, and a starving ego becomes desperate, irrational, destructive. It will whisper lies to you. Nobody cares about you anymore. You're being forgotten. You're missing out. You're becoming irrelevant. Ignore it, because here's the truth that will set you free. The moment you stop needing people to care about you is the moment they start caring more. It's a paradox of human nature. Desperation repels, indifference attracts. When you needed their approval, they withheld it. When you stop needing it, they offer it freely. This is dark psychology at its finest. Detachment gives you emotional leverage. You can't be manipulated by someone when you don't need anything from them. You can't be controlled by someone when their opinion doesn't affect your peace. Machiavelli wrote that dependency is weakness. The prince who needs his subjects more than they need him will always be vulnerable. Your 3 months of silence teach you self-sufficiency, emotional self-sufficiency, mental self-sufficiency, social self-sufficiency. You become a closed system, complete within yourself. Here's how you build this detachment practically. Stop seeking closure from people who don't deserve explanation. You don't owe anyone a breakdown of why you're changing, why you're distant, why you're different. Let them wonder, let them speculate, let them create their own narratives. Their confusion is not your responsibility. Stop monitoring who's watching your story, who's viewing your profile, who's asking about you. This behavior is prison. It keeps you mentally enslaved to people who don't think about you half as much as you think about them. Delete the apps if you have to. Deactivate if necessary. Go completely dark. Because every time you check, you're feeding the addiction. You're telling your brain that external validation matters more than internal strength. It doesn't. Stop explaining your decisions to people who weren't there for your struggles. You're rebuilding, you're transforming, you're becoming someone new. The old version of you needed to justify every choice. The new version makes decisions and moves forward without seeking consensus from the peanut gallery. Leaders don't take polls, they take action. Stop reacting to provocations. People will try to bait you back into the noise. They'll send indirect messages. They'll post things designed to get your attention. They'll use mutual friends to gather information about you. Let them. Your non-reaction is the most powerful response you can give. When you don't react, you don't give them the satisfaction of knowing they still affect you. You rob them of power, and power not given is power preserved. Comment, I am detached, if you're mastering this principle. Here's what detachment actually looks like in practice. Someone disrespects you. You don't argue, you don't defend, you don't explain. You simply remove access to yourself. No drama, no announcement, no final speech. Just silent removal. That's more devastating than any argument you could win. Someone tries to manipulate you emotionally. Guilt trips, sob stories, fake emergencies designed to get you to break your silence. You recognize the pattern, you see the game, you don't play. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care about anything. It means you care deeply about the right things and remain unmoved by everything else. You care about your mission, your growth, your family, your legacy. You don't care about gossip, drama, opinions of people going nowhere, temporary emotions from temporary people. This clarity is freedom. This selectivity is power. This detachment is what makes you untouchable, because you can't hurt someone who doesn't need you. You can't control someone who doesn't fear losing you. You can't manipulate someone who sees through the game. 3 months of practicing this detachment will rewire your entire psychology. You'll never be the same. And that's exactly the point. Next section, and please make 800 words exact, 1211. Section 7, the art of strategic reemergence. 3 months have passed. You've done the work. You've rebuilt yourself in the shadows. You've transformed your body, sharpened your mind, eliminated the poison, and mastered detachment. Now comes the most critical phase, reemergence. Because how you return determines everything. Most men make a fatal mistake here. They've done the work, they've changed, and they're so excited about their transformation that they burst back onto the scene announcing it to everyone. Wrong. That's not power. That's insecurity disguised as confidence. Real power doesn't announce itself. It simply is. When you re-emerge, you don't explain where you've been. You don't justify your absence. You don't give people the satisfaction of knowing they were even considered during your transformation. You simply show up different. Let me tell you exactly how this works. First, your energy speaks before your words do. When you walk into a room now, there's a different presence. It's not aggressive. It's not trying to prove anything. It's just solid, grounded, unmovable. People feel it immediately. They can't articulate what's different, but they know something has shifted. You're not the same person who left 3 months ago. Your eye contact is steadier. Your voice is calmer. Your movements are more deliberate. You occupy space differently. This isn't an act. This is the natural result of 3 months of discipline, silence, and self-mastery. You've become comfortable with yourself in a way that makes others uncomfortable with themselves around you. Second, your responses are measured. Where you used to be quick to react, quick to explain, quick to defend, now there's a pause, a strategic pause. You think before you speak. You consider before you commit. You evaluate before you engage. This drives people crazy because they're used to instant gratification, instant responses, instant access. You don't operate on their timeline anymore. You operate on yours. When someone asks where you've been, you give them nothing. Been focused on some things, that's it. No elaboration, no details, no story. The less you say, the more powerful the silence becomes. Third, your selectivity is visible. You don't engage with everyone who reaches out. You don't accept every invitation. You don't return every call. Not out of spite, out of strategy. Your time and energy are now allocated based on value and alignment. Does this person, conversation, or opportunity move you toward your goals? No. Then it doesn't get your energy. Simple. This selectivity sends a message. Access to you is no longer a given. It's earned. Watch how people start respecting your time when they realize it's limited and valuable. Fourth, you demonstrate, don't declare. You don't tell people you've been working out. They see it in your physique. You don't tell people you've been reading. They hear it in your conversation. You don't tell people you've been building. They see it in your results. Machiavelli taught that actions speak louder than proclamations. The man who talks about becoming great never becomes great. The man who silently does the work becomes undeniable. Let your transformation be so obvious that words are unnecessary. Fifth, you create scarcity, not availability. You're not back to being everyone's go-to person, their free consultant, their emotional support animal. You're selective with your presence. You show up when it matters. You contribute when it's valuable. You disappear when it's not. This intermittent availability creates an addictive dynamic. People never know when they'll have access to you, so when they do, they value it more. This is psychological leverage. Comment, I re-emerge strategically if you understand this game. Here's what happens when you re-emerge correctly. The people who ignored you suddenly notice you. The ones who took you for granted suddenly appreciate you. The ones who disrespected you suddenly approach you differently. But here's the beautiful part. You're not the same person anymore. You don't need their notice. You don't need their appreciation. You don't need their respect. You have something better, self-respect. And self-respect makes you immune to their games. You see them clearly now. You see the manipulation tactics. You see the guilt trips. You see the fake concern. You see through all of it because silence taught you to observe. Detachment taught you to analyze. Strategy taught you to move differently. When they ask, what happened to you? You've changed. You don't justify it. You simply smile and say, yeah, I did. No explanation, no apology, no justification, just acknowledgement. Because you don't owe anyone an explanation for becoming the best version of yourself. Your re-emergence isn't a return to your old life. It's an introduction to your new one. And in this new life, you set the terms. You control the narrative. You decide who gets access and who doesn't. This is the power that 3 months of strategic silence builds. This is the leverage that patience creates. This is the result of playing the long game while everyone else chases instant gratification. You've become untouchable, not because you've isolated yourself from the world, but because you've elevated yourself above the noise. Section 8. Maintaining the fortress. Here's what nobody tells you about transformation. Getting there is hard. Staying there is harder. You've spent 3 months building yourself into something formidable. You've become disciplined, detached, strategic, powerful. But the world doesn't want you to stay that way. The world wants you back in your cage, back in the noise, back to being controllable, predictable, weak. Your old friends want the old you back, the one who was always available, always agreeable, always safe. Your family wants the old you back, the one who didn't challenge the status quo, who played small, who didn't make them uncomfortable with your growth. Even your enemies want the old you back, because the new you is harder to manipulate, harder to defeat, harder to break. They'll all try to pull you back down, not because they're evil, because your elevation reminds them of their stagnation. Your discipline exposes their excuses. Your silence exposes their chaos. Your strength exposes their weakness. And people hate being confronted with their own mediocrity. So here's how you maintain the fortress you've built. First, guard your peace like it's your most valuable asset. Because it is. Anything that disturbs your peace doesn't deserve access to your life. Doesn't matter if it's a person, a situation, an opportunity, or a thought pattern. If it costs you your peace, it costs too much. Cut it out. Second, keep the discipline that built you, the training, the reading, the financial intelligence, the skill development. These weren't temporary fixes, they're permanent practices. The moment you stop doing what got you there is the moment you start sliding back. Maintenance requires the same intensity as building, maybe more, because now you have something to lose. Third, stay selective with your energy. Don't fall back into the trap of being everyone's everything. You rebuilt yourself in isolation. Protect that solitude fiercely. Schedule time alone. Non-negotiable time where nobody can reach you, nobody can demand from you, nobody can drain you. This is where you reconnect with yourself, where you recalibrate, where you remember who you are beneath all the noise. Fourth, keep people guessing. Don't become predictable again. Vary your patterns. Change your routines. Stay mysterious. The moment people think they've figured you out, you've lost your edge. Predictability is vulnerability. Fifth, never explain your standards. You've set new boundaries, higher standards, different expectations. People will question them, challenge them, try to negotiate them. Don't engage. Your standards aren't up for debate. They're the fortress walls that protect everything you've built. Comment, I guard my fortress, if you're committed to maintaining this. You didn't spend 3 months rebuilding yourself just to let the world tear you back down in 3 weeks. This is a lifestyle now, not a phase. The silence, the strategy, the strength, the selectivity. This is who you are, and anyone who can't respect that doesn't deserve access to you. The fortress stands, defended, protected, maintained forever.